So I guess pandas being a hoax is starting to break through to mainstream. I have no idea who this person is, but somebody left me a comment letting me know that the Pat McAfee show has discussed how pandas are not real. And yeah, I think the panda is probably a good introduction to fake animals. And why not? Why would those in control not make up animals? They fake everything on the world stage, so why would animals be this one thing where there's no deception? And yeah, so I think pandas are a good one that are pretty obvious when you think about it and you look into it. But I don't want to say obvious because the suits are really good. They are very high quality suits. Sometimes they really use real animals, but dye them up to look like a panda. But for the most part, they're mascot suits. It's just a mascot suit with a human in it that looks like a bear. And so many silly videos out there where people in the comments know, and they make it obvious that they know that it's people in suits. You'll see comments talking about, oh, pandas are just drunk people in suits. But you'll also just see a lot of people that are duped but questioning things like, hey, how does this dopey creature survive in the wild? Because, I don't know, pandas are kind of known for being dopey. And I think it's just because they're fumbling around in a fursuit. And they don't make the pandas as serious as the gorilla suits. But I'm just going to go through some... I was looking for some more historical photos of pandas for this video. And who knows, maybe... I feel like the panda hoax would be worth a channel really breaking down, really diving into all the details and stuff. Same thing with the gorilla suits. There's just so much stuff out there, and you probably could spend a lot of time trying to find historical information on these creatures. And I think that you would come up short if you tried to find stuff about pandas from the early 1900s, for instance. The history of the panda is very strange. March 11th, which is a 33 date, March being the third month, and 11 times 3 is 33. Apparently a hunter brought a panda skin to the French Jesuit, okay? And the Roosevelts are, I guess, involved with the pandas. Gotta think how much money the panda brings in donations for this hoax. It's a big money-making hoax, this one. And a political thing, which I find very interesting. What creature is so political as the panda? It's like this government thing that the government of China like gifts these animals out. Very strange concept. Giant panda diplomacy of China. That it's like a diplomatic thing. Oh man, Nixon smiling up a storm over there. And holding their hand like a magic wand there on the left. See how they're holding their hand as if they have a magic wand in the hand? It's a very common hand sign from these people. Why is it so political? And it's because the world governments conspire together to dupe the plebs. That's part of those in control. They love fooling people. Satan is a deceiver and the father of all lies. And Satan's children are the minions that run around on Earth enslaving the population and duping them and getting a chuckle while they do it. So that's why the panda is political. It's a political, well, it's a deception that China is like extending, I don't know the right analogy for it, but China allows people in on this deception. Here, take a panda. And that's why it's a political thing. It'll make you some money. Your panda suit. You can charge people money to come look at it, and you can make up all sorts of stories about conservation of these things. Did you know that there's only supposed to be like 1,000 of these things in the wild? Just that to me seems so unbelievable that they're... And who's seen these things in the wild? Nobody. I don't think they do panda treks in the same way that you can pay money to go walk out in the forest and see some gorilla suits. I don't know that I've heard that about panda suits. Can you pay money to go out in a bamboo forest and see some pandas? I don't know. Anyways, I'm just going to show some of these. I mostly just wanted to show that this thing is going mainstream. Pandas being a hoax could potentially be going mainstream. And notice how they like to get ahead of the game on stuff like this. That's the whole birds aren't real campaign, is a way for them to get ahead of it and make a clown show out of the situation. They want you to think that they're gonna point to anybody that talks about fake animals and say, "Oh, you're one of those birds aren't real people." That's why they do stuff like the birds aren't real campaign. They know that they're being ridiculous because they're going to take people that have legitimate fake animal claims and they're going to say, "Oh, you're just like those birds aren't real people. You're saying birds aren't real because you doubt in the panda." As if pandas are the same thing as birds. They like to do that. It's the same thing with the flat earth. If you wondered why are all the mainstream flat earth people such bozos? Then it's because it's constructed that way on purpose. They want the people that get the most exposure to be total clowns, so that if there's somebody in real life who has these opinions, they align you with their clowns. I mean, there's a term for that. I forget. Straw man. They're setting up all sorts of straw man arguments for people. There was some cool old panda stuff. I think there's some dupe and delight going on that one. This is an odd one. That's not the normal shape. And some of the old pandas, too, have a slightly different look going on. They'll take chow puppies and paint them up like a panda. I see a lot of dupe and delight in this image. There is no old Chinese art with pandas. It is all new. The art of pandas. There's no ancient, you can't find an ancient jade panda because it's not a real animal and it didn't exist in the past. It was something that people made up like 200 years ago. But you can see the dupe and delight on these bozos' faces. A lot of the people that you see posing around panda stuff, it's dudes in suits, which I find very funny. That the panda and the historical images of pandas, they're always surrounded by people in suits, the important people of the time. You got some Q angle, and that's a Masonic foot pose. Like, there's a famous image of George Washington, the famous Masonic George Washington with the feet together, angled out like that. Q angle. So we got a lot of people in suits around the pandas. Again, a lot more people in suits, big coats, and fancy hats. I guess the idea of like nature people probably wasn't as well developed back in these times. Anybody who wasn't anybody was wearing a suit or whatever. It just seems like these days they try to make animal people more down to earth seeming. So all the suited individuals was kind of weird to me. Doesn't this one look odd? Field Museum Photo Archives. I don't know. There's something odd about this one. They're doing minimal, I'm talking minimal research today, looking for images. So maybe I should do a more in-depth panda thing. Maybe I should look for old historical accounts. But it seems like London was a big place for the panda. They were really trying to push the panda. These London socialite individuals allegedly had one as a pet. Got some duper's delight going on with that one. You gotta be rich and famous to get access to these sorts of creatures. That's where this stuff, it's so obviously not comparable to birds. Well, they'll try to say that people that doubt certain animals, "Oh, you're like those birds aren't real" campaign. Yeah, except for the fact that I can just walk outdoors and see a bird any day of my life if I want to. But who has access to pandas? Why is it a socialite? Why is it always these socialites and always behind closed doors operations when it comes to their Illuminati animals. They don't make it easy. Let me know if you've heard people in the wild talking about pandas not being real. Is this one that Owen Benjamin would talk about? I know that a few years ago, Owen Benjamin would bring up fake animals every once in a while. I'm not sure if he would bring up the panda. Some large hands on that woman. There's some really strange panda birthing videos. I suggest, if you've never looked at this topic before, there's a panda birthing video from the Toronto Zoo that is a hoot. And so, of course, I think they are staged. These were some weird old-timey photos. They're known to be hard/impossible to reproduce, and it's because they're expensive suits, and so they need to be made, and it's a whole investment. So that's why they can't just breed them wildly in captivity, because it's really not just a wild animal. They have to spend a huge amount of time and investment, and if they're gonna make a newborn to actually get like a panda and have it be born, that's a huge investment, because they're gonna have to pretend that this thing is getting older and older. It's not just one suit. It's a fake puppet for the baby. And then every once in a while they got to replace it with a larger size. That would actually be a really interesting thing to do. This is what I mentioned. Like, I'm way too lazy to do studies like this, like really in-depth things. But if you like really followed a newborn alleged panda or alleged gorilla suit or chimpanzee, if you were really good at following them, I imagine that you would see they stay the same size for a long time, and then all of a sudden, poof, they're like a bigger size. And who knows, maybe that's when, maybe they take them away from like you just won't see them. Like, let's just say you have a year pass to your local zoo that had a young gorilla, for instance, or a young chimpanzee. If you went every single day and watched them, and then I wonder if they just disappear for a while, and you're like, hey, I haven't seen Jojo, the gorilla, in a while. I wonder what's up with Jojo. And then she comes back on the scene all of a sudden and looks different, looks bigger. I wonder about that. Well, I don't really have anything shocking or new to show today. I just wanted to show that somebody big was talking about this topic. Odd though, the vibes around the old stuff, it's weird how many suits and hats are around these creatures and doctors. I just think that they used to package it differently in the past, and nowadays we got wildlife looking people. How much of society is built around social engineering and wearing the right type of costume. They used to have different types of costumes for the people the handlers of these creatures in times past. It seems like they used to look more like carnival-y or circus director types, or men in suits, or looking like a doctor working with these creatures. The environmentalist working with animal persona suit has kind of changed throughout the years. They don't make them look so formal these days. Just something I've noticed. This suit looks a little different. This is an older one, older London one. Are those hexagonal logs? Well, I really don't have that much to share. Here's some more duping delight on the skeleton-looking creature on the right here. If you didn't know, duper's delight, these people that lie, they're liars, and they love lying, and they love deceiving the public. They get a lot of joy from lying to people, and it just bursts out of them a lot of times. They also love, this is a meme that's nothing new. Notice that the panda's giving you the one eye symbol, covering one of the eyes. And this is a meme that people have caught on to, that they love having like a stuffed animal or a bad suit next to a good suit. It's a weird little magic trick game where they're like, here's our plushie that looks really bad, and it like helps sell the better looking suit as like a real living creature, the fact that they put it next to a stupid plushie. But they're both plushies, basically. These days it's always with the spy cam. They'll have some weird spy cam gorilla goes and spies on the other gorillas. But it seems like it's a trick that they've been playing for a long time. Hey, stick the weird looking puppet that somebody took 5 seconds to make, stick that in the pin next to your work of art panda suit, and it really sells it. Well, that's it for this video. I'm going to keep it short. I just wanted to show that some big time channel that I've never heard of has been talking about this topic. So it's always good when people talk about these things and more exposure to these things. Everybody should know that there's people out there that don't believe in all the animals on the world stage. It's a good starting talking point to try to expose this deception that goes a lot deeper than just the panda. It's not just the panda. There's many, many fake animals out there. And I'd say the worst ones are the great apes, because they need those great apes to try to push evolution and to try to convince people. But you know, maybe some people will first wake up to the panda and it'll help them out to see that gorillas and chimpanzees are also people in suits. That's it for this video. God bless everyone.